I am Tammy Ramsey. I own Daisy Do Right here in Vincennes, and I am making this podcast to spotlight women who have made an impact on our community or who are successful in their business to inspire other women. And today I have with me Johanna Carney, and very excited because I think you have a really fascinating story. But first, I want to start with your relationship to Knox County. So you did not start out here, right?
No, I didn't. I've only been here about 6 years, 6.5 years.
Okay. So where were you from originally?
I'm originally from a small town in southern Illinois. Don't know if anybody would have heard of it.
So similar to Knox County in demographics, or smaller than that?
The county would probably similar, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you were familiar with rural demographics and the way townships and towns and cities all work and interact in rural communities.
Okay.
Before you went into law enforcement, what were you doing before that?
So before that, I just had a series of, I worked at a gas station in the deli department. And then after I moved to this area, I moved to a different gas station. Did that for a while. Went to work as a janitor in one of the local factories, and then moved on to work release, and then the jail. And from there, I moved into.
So you started out in work release. That's the first. What did you do there?
So I was just a correctional officer there at work release. I worked kind of a split shift and worked over both shifts.
Mm-hmm. Was there something that happened there that made you feel like this is where I want to focus my career?
Yeah, it's funny because when I took the job, I took the job for insurance, not because I wanted to be in law enforcement at all. I actually thought I would hate the job.
Oh.
But when I got it, it felt like I was actually making a difference in people's lives. And so when the jail commander at the time asked me to apply for the jail, I went ahead and did that.
I'm hearing self-fulfillment is your success story.
Right.
Personally? Okay. So I looked up on your Facebook a little bit, try to get a feel for you in general, and I saw that you went to the sheriff's department in 2019.
Right.
But so 2020 you became the first female deputy.
That's
so
correct,
between
yeah.
2019 and 2020, what did you do?
I was working in the jail at that time.
Oh, okay. So as a deputy now, what does a normal day look like for you?
So a normal day for me would consist of, I would serve some court papers, because that's the sheriff's department job to do that. And I might do some traffic stops or some traffic enforcement. I will spend some time verifying the addresses of sex offenders, making sure that they live where they say they live, and then answering calls. And a lot of the day is spent answering calls. And they can be as simple as a VIN check on a vehicle to a domestic or a burglary or something like that.
You're what I would consider physically active.
Yes. Yes, I am.
And when I think about what you do, I think that you have to be physically fit in order to be effective.
Right. Yeah, you definitely need to be. And I think that when you show up on a call and you appear to be physically fit, it makes it less likely the call is going to go in a bad direction. So I try to stay that way.
Makes sense. Tell me about guns and hoses, because that to me is a very physically demanding thing, and I'd like to hear more about it.
It's physically demanding, but it is so much fun. So Guns and Hoses is a charity boxing event. It's firefighters versus police. We put it on every year. It happens in Evansville at the Ford Center. So it's a really big event with fire and smoke and lights, and it's really cool. And you just go 3 one-minute rounds of boxing against, for me, it would be a female firefighter, and You get some bragging rights, and that's about it, but it's a whole lot of fun.
How many years have you been doing it?
I have boxed for Guns N' Hoses for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And is there a lot of training beforehand, or do you just show up cold and
There's a lot of training
Is there?
beforehand. So I generally train with one coach or another. I try to at least twice a week, sometimes more than that, depending on how close my next match is.
Speaking of coaching, I read where you do some coaching at the Y.
That's right.
Can you tell me about that program?
Yes, that is a passion project of mine. So I coach the Rock Steady program, which is a boxing and exercise program for people with Parkinson's. So studies show that forced intense exercise lessens the symptoms of Parkinson's. So I get people who come into me and you can see the Parkinson's symptoms. You know, some of them have tremors, some of them shuffle when they walk, or their balance is not great. And we get them into this program and start working with them, and you can see those symptoms improve. And that's like, it's one of the best feelings ever to know that you help somebody change for the better like that.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been doing it about 8 years.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so one more thing on the physical fitness thing. You ran the 5K for the eclipse.
Right, yes.
And you came in third in your age group.
I think that's
I
right,
believe
yeah.
So, is running a thing you do a lot, or did you just do it for the eclipse event? Or?
I like to run because for me, it's a good way to clear my head. You know, I usually run without music and just let whatever thoughts are going through my head go through my head. Sometimes I can come up with some great ideas that way, and sometimes not, but for me, it's a kind of peace of mind thing.
Is there anything that you feel like, besides the day-to-day, anything that you're working on overcoming big, or is it just a day-to-day thing?
Really just a day-to-day thing. I mean, there's a lot of stuff from my past that still come back to haunt me, and when it does, running is a great way to deal with that.
Nice. Okay. Have you had a mentor since you've started in law enforcement?
I haven't had one mentor, but I have a group of strong girlfriends who are either in law enforcement or law enforcement adjacent, and we get together quite often and mostly just talk about things that have nothing to do with anything, but I also can call them when I have a question, and they're very helpful to me.
When I interviewed Wendy Russell, she
Right.
talked about her tribe. Are you part of her tribe?
I am
Is it all
part
the
of that
same
tribe, yes.
Oh, nice, nice. So you cook sometimes when you get together. She was telling me about Thai food or something that
We
she was
love to
working
try
on.
new things, and sometimes it works out, sometimes not so much, but it's a fun experiment every time.
Right. The camaraderie is
Right.
probably very important. Yeah.
Exactly.
So the first line of the Knox County Sheriff's Department mission statement is to serve and protect the citizens and any visitors of Knox County. Can you put that thought into action, what you do?
You know, we get a lot of calls, and sometimes it's a stranded motorist, sometimes it's a domestic abuse situation. Our job is to make people feel safe, but also keep them in compliance with laws and whatever. You know, even traffic stops where I'll spend the evening just looking for drunk drivers, trying to keep our roads safer for our kids out there. To me, that's serving and protecting.
What is the biggest myth about working in law enforcement that you think?
I think these days a lot of people think that that officers are there because they're on some kind of power trip, and that's for most of the men that I work with, that's not true at all. They're actually there for the same reason that I am, because they have a real desire to help people and they want to make your life better. We realize that everybody we're dealing with is having one of the worst days of their life for the most part. So we try to keep that in mind and just do whatever we can to mitigate that for them.
What do you think would help just the average citizen to dispel that myth?
I think probably to have more dealings with law enforcement in a positive way. And for me, that means like community policing or visiting our schools or whatever to try to influence people's view of what we actually are and what we stand for.
If you could have a heart-to-heart talk with a girl who was interested in a law enforcement career, what would you say to her?
I would tell her that it's a very fulfilling career. I definitely wouldn't want to discourage it. You have to have the right mindset for it, but if somebody's already thinking about it, they probably do have the right mindset for it. I would say that you need to start now on getting physically fit and being active, because that's going to be very important, but also having self-confidence and whatever you need to do to build that self-confidence, but you have to know that you can handle what you need to handle on a day-to-day basis.
Do you feel like it's becoming more female-friendly, the whole field in general?
So I've only been in it for about 5.5 years as a deputy, so I don't know what it used to be like. I know I'm the first female deputy in the county, so that does kind of tell you something, but I feel like it is actually very female-friendly. There are a lot of jobs that females tend to be better at than men, a lot of roles and responsibilities within law enforcement. So there's a place for everyone. You just have to figure out what your niche is in the...
You were a newspaper columnist at one time.
For just a little bit, yes, for a small-town newspaper.
Tell me about that. What did you write about?
I wrote about, it was one of those, you just write about what you're thinking about right now kind of columns, so...
Like an opinion?
Right. So, I wrote about running, I wrote about camping trips, I wrote about some things that had happened in my past and about empowering other women to be able to speak up and say, this happened to me and I'm willing to talk about it.
Anything you want to share?
So like many women, I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. It happens to, way too many young girls and women. And I really kind of started the column as a way to make people feel like it's okay to talk about it. And it's something you can heal from, but you have to face it.
Well, I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
Thank you.
There was something about the national anthem, and I'm trying to remember what that was. Did you sing the national anthem?
I've had the privilege of singing the national anthem for several different events here in town. For the Memorial Day event that they had over at the Memorial Cemetery, and then also for a couple of events that Irreverent Warriors has put on. And for me, that has been like a true honor to be able to do that.
Awesome. If I gave you $1 million and said you can spend it on any project that you want to spend it on, but you won't see the results right away, it's going to be a long-term project, what would you spend the $1 million on?
Wow. I think that a lot of it would be spent on something for our young people. I'm very passionate because I didn't get into any sort of martial arts or combat sports or whatever until I was a grown adult, in my 40s. But I was able to get in on some kids' classes, and I feel very passionate that all young girls should be in some form of contact sport, be it combat sports or something else. And I would probably build some sort of complex where classes could be held that would be free to everybody and try to help build that self-confidence so that people have the ability to tell people, no, I'm not doing that.
Oh, that's really cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you.